the Lansky Puck. It gets a lot of criticism. A lot of people say it's junk and not worth carrying. I don't know why it gets such a bad rap. There's actually a pretty good useful tool here. I'm going to show you a couple tricks to get the optimal performance out of your Lansky Puck. Stay tuned. So before we sharpen our axe, it's important for us to know what our intended use for that axe is. Example, are we going to carve wood with it or are we going to chop wood with it? Because I'm going to sharpen my axe differently depending on what my intended use is. Now if we're carving wood, we want a nice refined edge that's very sharp, mirror polished, and more of a scandy grind than convex. If we're just chopping wood and we're cutting down trees and making firewood, we don't need a mirror polish edge. We don't need a scandy grind. We can keep our convex edge on our axe. It is possible to have an axe that does both, and there's no reason why you can't use your axe that you sharpen with your Lansky Puck to do some light carving. This is an example of a mirror polished edge. It looks good and it's very sharp, but the problem is as soon as you hit a piece of wood, that mirror polish is gone, and then you're just gonna be cutting wood just as good as if you had not had mirror polished it. And then when you go to sharpen it, you're gonna have to go through all the work again to get a mirror polish. It does look good though. Alright, so now we've established our intended use for our axe. Now we could talk about different methods of sharpening that axe. So obviously we're going to talk about the Lansky Puck, but I'll touch base on a couple other ones real quick. There are other puck makers that make higher grit pucks that will leave more of a refined edge on your axe. And there's nothing wrong with them, they just cost more money than a Lansky Puck. I actually have, I think this is the Arctic Fox puck, and I don't know what the grits are, but I know it's like a up to a 320 or 400 grit, which will leave a pretty good edge. Now, the downside to that puck is it doesn't remove metal as quickly as a Lansky Puck. A Lansky Puck is a 120 and a 280 grit, so it will remove metal much quicker. Now the downside to that is it does not leave as a refined edge as the Arctic Fox. No matter which puck you use, they'll both cut as long as you use them properly and you understand what their intended use is for and know what results to expect from that puck. So why the Lansky Puck? Why not just buy the Arctic Fox? Yeah, why not? It really doesn't matter which puck you own or which puck you use. You have to learn how to use that tool properly in order to get the best results. So whether you pick the Lansky Puck or the Arctic Fox puck, it really doesn't matter if you don't know how to use it. And the thing I like most about the Lansky Puck, besides the $8 price point, that's right, $8. The Lansky Puck costs $8. That's a really good value. Besides that, I like how fast it works. I want to get the job done quickly and efficiently, and I want it to work when I'm done. That's what I like about the Lansky Puck. It removes metal quickly and it leaves a good enough edge to put you back to chopping wood. Now with any tool, no matter what it is, your axe, your puck, your knife, anything needs maintained. The Lansky Puck is no different. There's a couple tricks here that I'm going to show you to get the optimal performance out of your puck and keep it working for years on end. One thing that I find with a new Lansky Puck, and I've also read online and seen other people complain about, is straight out of box, they don't work real well. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the binding glue that they use to hold the grits together, creates a film on the surface and causes it not to cut real well, or if there's some magic spray they spray on it to preserve it. I don't know what it is. All I know is straight out of the package, you're not going to be happy with this puck. The other problem you run into is after you use the puck, the grit starts to fill up with metal. This causes it not to cut as efficiently or fast and leave a different finish than what you're used to. So there's a couple ways that we can tune our puck to get optimal performance. One of the more important tricks I'm going to tell you about with the puck is you have to keep it wet. So from the get-go, you have to decide, am I going to use oil or am I going to use water? Most of us are going to use water. In the wintertime, you might want to have a second stone that's for oil only. That way, if it freezes, it doesn't crack, or it can't, well, it won't freeze because it's oil instead of water. This could freeze in the cold enough conditions, because once you take this out of the water, it's still retaining water inside the stone because these are porous. So you'll never completely dry this out. And then when you use it in the field, you're going to wet it again. Now for our purpose here, since we're in the shop, I just have this little bowl filled with water, and I'm letting them soak so it gets maximum saturation. So I laid out a variety of methods here to help tune our pucks. Now this is not something you want to do in the field. You want to do this when you're back in the shop. Maintain your tools before you go to the field, and then that way when you're in the field, you'll have less problems with them and less maintenance to do and more time to spend in the field. So these are a couple different methods that I've come up with to help tune my pucks. Now, I have used a Lansky Puck for sharpening since I started playing with axes. This is the very first one I ever bought. I have taught over 40 people in the last 2 years how to sharpen axes using a file and a puck. And every time, students have been successful. So this method works. And in a later video, I'm going to show you how to use your puck to sharpen your axe. So what I have laid out here is a couple different ways to help condition our surface of our puck. I'm not going to call it flattening, although this is essentially what we're doing. But I don't want you to focus on making your puck flat. We're just focusing on cleaning the surface of the puck and bringing up fresh grit to use to sharpen our pucks. These are going to be the 3 most popular ways to achieve this. Now, I set these 3 methods out because one of these 3 ways is achievable by anyone. This is just a simple piece of flat glass, well, glass is flat, with a piece of 80 grit sandpaper stuck to the front of it. This is a more expensive way. This is a DMT diamond stone, and this is their 120 grit micron, or 120 micron extra coarse DMT stone. And then this is my preferred method. This is an actual Norton flattening stone. If you're going to use any kind of water stones for any sharpening, whether it be your axes, your knives, your planes, tools, whatever it is, I recommend spending the money on one of these Norton flattening stones, because this is the best method for flattening any stone or conditioning the surface, is what we're doing here. Water stones are expensive, and it's important to maintain them properly. So I don't remember what this costs. You can look them up. Norton flattening stone. You can look them up. They're not a lot of money, and it's well worth the investment. And like I said, this is something you're going to keep in your shop. So you're going to do this before you go into the field. So let's start with the cheapest method first. All I'm going to do is wet this sandpaper down. This is going to help remove the material and push it off to the sides and help keep the grit exposed. I have my pucks soaking in a bucket of water. All right, so now all we're going to do is take our puck and work it in figure eights on our sandpaper and flat surface. As you can see, we're working out the imperfections and bringing forward clean surface for us to use. Your puck's going to end up hollow just from use. This is okay. What we want to do is work out as much of the surface as we can to expose fresh grit and remove any metal that might be impregnated in our old grit. Starting to get a nice fresh edge. Now, I have found that the Norton flattening stone actually works the best and the quickest. It's porous as well, so you're going to want to give this thing a good drink. It wouldn't hurt to soak it. Same thing applies. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. It's basically the weight of the puck. I'm just moving it around. So as you can see, I've got a nice fresh surface to work with on my puck. It doesn't take very long, but it makes a big difference in the performance of the puck. I've got fresh grit exposed. All the metal and dirt is out of my working surface. You know, it could be a little cleaner, but that's good enough. It doesn't need to be perfect. Now, all I need to do is work on the other side, and I'll be ready to use it. The key is to keep this stuff wet. The grooves in this flattening stone help move the debris down into the grooves and off of the working surface. Now, another thing that this flattening stone is good for is if you've ever gone to an antique store or flea market and saw an old oil stone where it's dished out after years of use, you can actually use this flattening stone to flatten the surface of that old oil stone and bring up fresh grit and rejuvenate that old oil stone. Same thing would work with the sandpaper, just would take a little longer. There you go. Nice fresh surface on both sides. Now our Lansky Puck is ready to use. Well, I hope you'll give some of these techniques a try, and I know you'll be surprised about the results that you get with your Lansky Puck after you do this simple thing of conditioning the surface. Remember, it's important to do it to a brand new one as much as it is important to a used one. Now, how often should you do this? You'll know. Once you start using a good puck that's been tuned properly, you'll know what to expect from that. And as time goes on, you'll feel the difference in the puck and know that it's time to recondition the surface. You know, even in my shop, when I'm first sharpening an axe, I will actually use a file to set my profile, but then I'll use my Lansky Puck to establish that initial edge and take out the scratches from the file, and I'll work it up to the finer grit with the Lansky Puck and get my burr on the edge working back and forth. If it's a utility axe, I'm done at that point. I'll hit it on a strop real quick and then it's ready to use. If I'm going to take it to a mere polish, I use the same technique as if I was just going to use the axe normally. I sharpen it with my file, or I set my profile with the file. I refine the edge with the puck, and then I do further refinement with whatever method I choose to get the mere polish. In most cases, it's the sandpaper method. But the puck's great for in the shop or in the field, either way. It works great for putting a quick, usable edge on your axe. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to sharpen your axe with the puck that we just reconditioned. So stay tuned.